at the end of the day, is it really worth saying that how do I plan to become a CEO? When I was passing out in 1982 from my B school, did I ever think that I want to become a CEO of a company? Possibly, yes. But I mentor a lot of students from MBA schools. When I ask them what role or industry you want to join, 90% of them want to join marketing. And out of the 90%, another 90% want to join the top 2 FMCG companies in India. And out of these 2 who want to join the FMCG companies of India, 90% want to do digital marketing. So I said that when you join your engineering, one went into chemical engineering, one into computer science, but when it comes passing out, you all want to join here. How is it that you become a herd of sheep? So now what happens is mostly what you want to become in such a tender age is something which happens because of your peer group pressure, or something that you read, or a photograph of a CEO you see, or how many $1 million he makes you see. But at the end of the day, do they really matter? It's sometime mid in your career in 30, 35, when you are in a mid-level job, perhaps have become a supervisor, you start asking many questions that you would be asking today. Where most of the questions will be about the organization. Then you would be asking possibly about your family, about what your spouse does. And those things are very, very important. So one learning that first is what are you and how do you want to sculpt your career is something which you need to think rather the organization which you are going to serve. Many of us fall into the trap of the organizations. Every organization's HR department is adept in telling how they are the best place in the world to join, right? And that's what my earlier speaker was saying. The big becomes the bigger, and the bigger they are, the more convincing they are, because they are success stories and you feel, yes, that guy must have done well. That is why they are the number one. But you don't know what happens inside, So the first thing is knowing yourself, what you really want, what is it that you're looking forward to? What are your strengths? What is your weakness? Something which your weakness and that industry you have got a job is something which you'll not like, because you know yourself well. And if you don't know, go and do a psychometric. I did a psychometric test pretty late in my career. It was not existing perhaps when I was passing out of MBA. That really test 50% of the things is still now applicable to me, though I have retired now. I couldn't correct them. I just was unable to correct them. So if I knew that this is something which I had, possibly I would have behaved in a different manner in certain different circumstances and would have avoided some pitfalls or career limitations, as we call them. So one of the things is to know that, number one. Number two is some of the value systems that you have, some of the things which you'll never like. Someone I met, he said, I don't want to work in an organization which does not respect gender diversity. Now, if you have got a job which is paying twice, but is not very famous for this, would you like to join there? So I left my 21-year-old career in one organization just because of my values. I just could not reconcile myself. 2 years I was pained. And it was not a very right time to leave. You can't spend 21 years in a company and then decide that you want to go. But it became unbearable. It was a very hard learning for me. So values are important. If the values and culture doesn't match, joining an organization, irrespective of what it pays you or the skill set that you learn, is possibly something which will always make a sad man coming back home every day. The next point is the difference between happiness and success. You never say that you are successful. Others say that you are successful. You only say, I am happy or unhappy. You can decide to be an extremely unhappy and successful CEO, or a very happy and successful number two, or vice versa, or in between. So the difference between happiness and success, when you close your eyes, do you see that I have become a CEO, so many people are clapping? Is that what you have seen? Or you see that you yourself are happy for achieving what you wanted to achieve? And there, the difference between aspiration and ambition is something which I learned very late in my career. Ambition is when you want at any cost to become a CEO. Aspiration is when you want to do whatever you are doing the best, better than what you did last time. And ambition never takes you anywhere except for jealousy, office politics, trying to jump organization, to doing shortcuts. Brother, this does not help at all. You get caught in your webware somewhere after 10 years, 15 years. And when that caught up takes place, you really face something which you would not like to face in life. So that's another thing. Then is the skill set. Skill set is important, but acquiring skill set is also important. Role of technology in the skill set that you are acquiring is still further important, like my friends earlier have told. But remember, sometimes you overspend time in roles. Recently, one person asked another gentleman who was a marketing manager in two big MNCs that you have been 10 years as marketing managers and handled some of the best brands of the world. And tell me, what are your insights? After he said, he told his co-interviewer, this man is worth 3 years of experience. So he is 3 years multiplied by 3 times. That means balance 7 years that the guy spent was overspent. Many of us spend time in organization or roles more than what we should, because we convince ourselves that we are adding value. Yes, we are adding value, but that incremental value is too less vis-a-vis the time that you spend. If you are 35, you are not going to become 35 next year again. So many times I have overspent time. Sometimes you overspend time because your wife cannot get a transfer. Sometimes you overspend time because your boss is too good and you are assured about another big increment next year, but you are not learning and the time is short. So in my opinion, overspending time is another mistake that I did, and this is something we should be happy. 3 to 4 years, more than 3 to 4 years. Of course, technology is different, but other fields I have found is overspending time in the similar role, even if another geography is given. Building wealth. Many people want to build millions of dollars before they are 30. One survey had said that the maximum 85 to 90% of the wealth that you make in your career happens after 40. So initial years, if you are looking at how you want to create wealth only, irrespective of the organization you join or anything else, I think you will be up for some surprises. Spend time in sculpting your career, in trying to learn as much as you can, different industries, whatever is, wherever you are trying, rather than to make wealth only in the first few years of your career. Then the next one is family, but the first one was possibly. Sculpting your career as per your family's also progress in their life is very, very important. That is more important, but because most of your spouses will work. So that's a challenge that I did not have. Many of us had premium life because our wives were mostly at home. They were there to take care of home. So both of you will be working many times in different places. That whether you are a CEO or number 2 or number 3, at the end of the day, you earn for your family. So if you are discarding the family's happiness towards becoming something, or your wife is discarding that will catch you up some time or the other. It is not going to let up to your retirement. It will happen before that. And I can tell you, brother, it's just not worth it. I asked in a corporation, a friend of mine, asking him who was the CEO just before the current CEO is in place. Before them, about 10 years back, who was the CEO, who could not tell the name. Now you tell me some CEO who has spent 30 years of his life in one organization, to become the CEO, is just forgotten in 10 years. When I went to my organization where I spent 21 years, the only 3 people that they knew me, the entire organization had changed, was the security, because he was young when I had joined, the MD himself, because he was my colleague, and the secretary of the MD, because he has been with the MD. Only 3. Balance, everyone had changed. So everyone, I thought everyone will say, oh, you have come back, Sanjay. That's the life of a CEO. 21 years, 2 decades of the best years of my life I spent there. And I will end only by saying 4 things which will be extremely critical. You will be working mostly with a multi-generational workforce. Someone who is a baby boomer, someone is Gen X, someone is Gen Y, and someone is Gen Z, which is a different animal altogether. So when and some of you are in Gen Z. So all of them will come with their own way of looking at life, something I did not face in my lifetime. And many of who are in the mid-40s also did not spend. How do you handle them? In this, 3 things will happen as you go into the leadership role, and this will help you till the end of your career. 4 things rather. Number 1, how well you communicate. As you go higher up, your skill set will become less important. How you say things will become more important. How you respond is going to be more important. More importantly, how you do not respond. Number 2, how will you collaborate or make others collaborate? Very, very important, because there will be very except for who are individual contributor, you will find mostly people will collaborate with each other. Peer groups, people will collaborate not across divisions, but across functions, across hierarchy. Third one is that how good you are in resolving conflicts. Many people run away from conflicts. How good you are in resolving conflicts. 50% of the people will like you, 50% will not like you. But resolving conflict is something of a skill many leaders don't have. And that is what creates a problem. We are seeing some of it happening. Many leaders, political leaders, are not very good in resolving conflict. That takes the nation to a very different angle. And last one is that when you become a CEO or you become a senior leader, one thing one of my colleagues told me, that always you will have one or two problems which are just not solvable. So don't scratch your head. Your board or your boss gives you those problems because he has employed you, because the two problems at least you will be there in your KRA, which is just not solvable. No human beings, God cannot solve it. So you will be given because you have got that position of a CEO. And accepting pain. You must know as a CEO how you can accept pain. The pain of the entire world, of your everyone come to you, and you have to have a smile of the face, because as someone who is the leader of the group, if you lose emotional restraint, if you become desperate, your entire team will become desperate. This how nobody taught us. We learned it some hard way, not by reading any books, etc. As youngsters who are going to pass tomorrow, please remember 3 C's: communicate well, collaborate well, conflict resolution. And last one, as you grow up, pain will come. Don't avoid pain. If you are a leader, pain is a part of your life, and how well you accept it will only show how happy you are, both in the office as well as with your family. At the end, you earn for your family. Thank you. I think that's all for the time. My timer has set time up.
I'll just take liberty, sorry to interrupt, Ronit, but from the entire audience, I could see a lot of people smiling and clapping and I think giving salute. So thank you so much, sir.